Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure.
What are you most nervous about what are you most nervous about this entire thing? What are you most nervous about?
I'm most nervous about the change. This is a huge amount of change for one person. Within the span of a year, I will have gotten a divorce, moved into downtown Houston, lost my job, packed up my apartment in downtown Houston, either given away most of my stuff or put a few things in storage, moved my entire life into a 40 square foot room on a sailboat, and have then just left all of the friends and family that I have here in town for a new life. It's really starting a new life. It is March. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, so today is the 18th. I'm sitting in the ever delicious Taco Bell parking lot because Houston is basically quarantined. But I'm making big decisions in the Taco Bell parking lot. Unfortunately, the company I work for is not going to pay us for the next 2 weeks, even though it's mandated that we close. Sunshine. And then they've also hinted at layoffs after that. And it just sucks. I originally had this plan to not leave until September. But I'm really having to decide now if it's worth it to stay here and just live to work for the next 5 months. 5 months? April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, 5 months. So I don't know. I mean, I know exactly. My heart is telling me, let's do this. Let's have an adventure. But that gives me 1 month, less than a month actually, from when my parents are leaving. And my ship literally sails away. So just sitting in the Taco Bell parking lot making big, huge, massive life decisions. I'm Ashton, and a year ago, I had no idea that I'd be going on the trip of a lifetime. After a really hard, tough year with a lot of ups and downs, I decided to take off with my parents at 31 on their Catalina 470 to sail from Houston down to St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. I haven't done a ton of footage of cleaning out my apartment because it's a mess. There's boxes everywhere, clothes everywhere, canvases everywhere, trying to decide what to take and pack and what I still need for the next 14 days. Yeah, 14 days. But it's a mess. I'm not quite sure where to go from here. What to do next. 700 square feet into deciding what I want, and I think I'm moving into less than 50 square feet. It's fine, totally fine, but it's a lot. So that's what I'm doing today.
What are you hoping to accomplish once you're settled into the Virgin Islands?
Yeah, that's just a hard question. It wasn't a bad question.
No, I realized
it's just very loaded.
I was like, how do you answer that?
If I'm being honest and filming everything, recording everything, I just got rid of the first batch of furniture, including my TV stand and my big old gorgeous, pretty rug that was right there. My kitchen's a mess. My house is a mess. It's stressful. It is stressful. So after working all day long, cleaning out my storage unit and then helping get all this moved out, my cousin took a lot of it. I'm enjoying a nice glass of wine on the couch, watching Grey's Anatomy. Yeah. I am hoping to show people that kind of the realness of getting on a sailboat, puking your guts up, if that should happen, really hoping the seas fare well, and trying to learn how to sail, how to fish, learning the island that you've just been dropped on from being a big downtown Houston city girl to now being an islander in a place that you've only ever vacationed at, getting a job, learning the culture, learning how to live with your parents on a boat again at 31, right after getting a divorce, and all of the fun and hard things in between that. Just a look at the mess I still have to find home stuff for. My closet, my formal gowns. Otherwise it's just about empty. Still have some stuff here. The kitchen is a wreck. Oh, I need to take that with me today too. Yeah, this is where we're at. This used to look really cute and pretty. I'm sorry I didn't video it before I started packing. So today's mission is to get most of the stuff that I'm gonna actually put into my room on the boat, get that all dropped off and situated, and then I'll be able to come back through the apartment and really box up what's being donated and what's being gifted, and I won't be worried about accidentally gifting or donating something that I wanted to take with me. It's a lot. It's a lot to do in just a few days. That's okay. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. It's the 25th. We leave in 5 days. 5.5 days. I have just about everything that I'm taking packed in my car to go. This goes all the way through. Some of it's going to storage. I lied to you a little bit. Like my whole life. All fits in my little Lexi. Oh. Let's go make this first trip. So today was supposed to be my last full day in the apartment. So I thought I'd cook dinner one more time. Got some Trader Joe's orange chicken that I'm obsessed with. Wanted to make that one more time before I left. And then I gave away all of my kitchen stuff. And I gave away my couch and my bar stools. So while they went to very, very good homes, I now have to eat my Chinese food sitting on the floor with my iPad watching Grey's Anatomy because I also gave away my TV. Might have been poor planning on my part, but I'm just gonna eat my Chinese food on the floor from my last night in this apartment. It's only like 98% scary. 2% exciting, I'm a bitch. 2% scary, 98% exciting. I don't really know. Either way, there's a lot of excitement and a lot of scary. A lot of scary. Love it. All right, y'all. Whole life in a storage unit. There's a lot, and a Duffy Bear up there. Any Disney fans? you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along on the next adventure. Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. Man, I need like a selfie stick for this. Now I get it. It is March 7th. We are squinty, that's for sure.
Or April.
The woman says it's April. Apparently it's April. I don't know what day it is. It's so squinty. So much better. We are at Verano in the shipyard. She's out of the water. And today I will be repainting the logo on the keel. I had painted that a year ago.
Yes.
And we had to have another bottom job before we set sail, so they painted over it. So I'm back again, but it's Corona, it's quarantine, I don't have anything else to do. There she goes. We have splashed back in the water. We don't have a mast yet though. That's where the mast should be. And they had to take it off to put on some electronics and some cool lighting. We wanted to be able to go back and work on her today. Back at on Monday to get the mask back on. So right as all of this Corona stuff took off, I got a really awesome upper respiratory infection, or at least that's what they were calling it. Could have been Corona. But I didn't have a fever. So the doctor told me that it was not Corona. Gave me some antibiotics and sent me on my way. That was coming up on 4 weeks ago. Yeah, ish. But because I have this awesome lingering cough, because like, you know, when you get a cough, like it just sticks around. It's like that person that won't leave the party. Okay, party's over, we're ready to go to bed. And that person's just like, oh, let's have one more drink, listen to one more song. No, that's what this cough is. But it freaks people out. But God forbid you cough in a grocery store these days. We're about to go into West Marine to get my foul weather gear. I'm not sick anymore. Feel perfectly fine. I just have this little like tickle cough. And then I put on this cute mask. Well, actually I have two, a zebra and I have pink polka dot, naturally. So before we go into the store, pop my cough drop, put on my mask so that people don't cringe when I walk in. Zebras. What are we getting? What are we looking at?
Foul weather gear.
Which is?
When it's raining really hard outside and you still have to drag the boat, and you want to stay dry.
So this is the massive selection for women. Although I'm not opposed to the fact that it's all pink. So Michael Jackson.
For the peeps.
I'm really hot. Oh, I hope we don't have this. These are like...
Those are racers. Those
Be fancy. That's a good sign.
sit in that? Nope. I didn't fall into that.
Yeah, I can do everything in this. Except stand back on it. Getting our mask put back on today. A little chilly, but really pretty. First dining out experience in 3 months, 2 months?
We're trying to do our part to keep the local economy going.
Good old Texas barbecue before we leave.
Indeed. Is she draining?
Yeah, it's draining. There's like,
Yeah.
After lunch, we had to do a full bottom job on the dinghy. It was gross, to say the least.
Am I earning my keep? She says I'm earning my keep. It's so gross. I feel like I should spray this guy's boat off while I'm here. Gross. Oh, it's nice. I should show my progress.
Look how nice and clean that is. Now we're gonna flip it so we can clean all the bottom.
Oh, that's so gross. It's so gross. I just touched it. Yeah. It's in my face. It's on my face.
That's what we gotta clean off. I guess we can just put it back in the water. That's where it came from. But you can hear it, it's crunchy.
That's Barnabas.
That's the stuff that was on my face.
You know what? I know what this stuff is. You know those gross little things that Ursula turns the mermaids into on the...
Yeah.
That's what this stuff is.
I'm having to scrape off these guys. They're like full-fledged barnacles. You can see them, they're all over the hole. And that's what I'm really having to scrape off, and I keep catching my finger on, which feels awesome. You can see kind of all the barnacles. But she's coming along. Most days there were still contractors on the boat working, so we had to find somewhere else to go. This was the first day that Baybrook Mall reopened after it initially shut down for a few weeks due to COVID. As you can tell, it was a ghost town. Most of the stores weren't even open. It was still nice to walk around and see things we hadn't seen in 2 months. Even if it was a little eerie. Once the contractors were done installing things like our Spectra water maker, our blue mast lights, and our all-new Furuno radar, we were able to get in and clean and inventory our pantry. There was a chance we'd be on the boat for not only the passage, but an extended quarantine with no access to groceries. This process took about 7 hours, but we had plenty of dock neighbors to come help. Final provisioning. Final time at HEB, it makes me a little sad. The stores finally have ramen noodle again. And beans and rice. It's like the apocalypse is over. Probably shouldn't say that too loud. Literally can't ever find her. She just walks off. Found her, and she has more stuff. What else did you get?
The water filters, the silicone.
Oh, I just called Padre. He said we don't need that.
This is for my kitchen.
Okay. It's going well. I'm sorry. She was asking me a question at the same time. Card is full. This is how we're starting the trip.
All right, we're rolling. If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along on the next adventure. Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars.
stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. We left off with Verano and her crew leaving our marina in Kemah and sailed just a few hours to get to our jump-off point in Galveston, Texas. A few of my friends came in and surprised me with a farewell trip. So we enjoyed our evening and the next day in Galveston before they went back to Dallas and I left for the first leg of our trip.
I like this mug. It's super understated. Oh, hey.
We just walk around.
It's on sale. It's $5.
It doesn't say anything really like
Or this statement is, I want to be anchored with
where the seagulls are.
With your sunburn. It's our first full day anchored at the Galveston Yacht Basin. We happened to pull up next to some boat friends. Rumaway is the same size Catalina as ours. They have just come back from a month down in the Padre Corpus Christi area. Yeah, we're having dinner with them. They're cooking on their boat.
We're headed to St. Thomas. Cheers.
And said to that.
Boat number, boat neighbors number one.
Oh, but I have to like really step in for that.
Cheers, everyone. We're on a pros.
Chin chin.
There we go.
We enjoyed what we thought would be our last night in a marina for a while with friends. We ate, we drank, and we also had our nightly sailor tradition of blowing the conch at sunset. All right, Padre, what's happening?
Well, we got a squall coming in, and we decided to sit tight at the dock instead of going to the fuel dock and trying to get fuel. So, we're dragging jerry cans around the fuel dock.
We're going!
Showtime.
Miami or best.
Let's go more for the Miami side than the bus side, please. Thanks. All right, hang on. You have to wait until the cameras are rolling. We said goodbye to our friends on the dock, gave Poseidon a shot of rum for good luck, which ultimately did not work, and left the dock for Miami. Bye, land. We'll miss you. It is happening. Leaving Galveston. We will be in Miami in 6 days-ish. I've already got on my seasickness bracelet. I've taken my Dramamine. Hoping I don't puke. Something I do quite often on boats, which is fun. This is crazy. Life, here I come.
Ashton, how long have we been out?
Too long.
I hadn't changed it. I looked down there.
In reality, how long have we been out here?
Like 5 minutes.
An hour and a half? There's already been pukage?
Kind of puked, but I had an empty stomach, so I'm not a fan. I'm not having fun.
Get better. Nowhere to go but up.
This is literally the only camera I could find. I've already thrown up 4 times. Are we having fun yet?
Right around here, we are taking on 3 to 4 meter seas with up to 50 knots of wind. That stove is on a gimbal, and you might not be able to tell that the boat was pitching 30 degrees in either direction. To a non-sailor, that might not seem like a lot, but everyone up top was tethered in, and I was wedged into a corner down below, holding on for dear life.
Night before last, we went ahead and left, headed on out, and we were expecting maybe 1 meter seas and 20 knots of wind. That devolved over the course of the evening to where we saw 50 knot winds and 3 to 4 meter seas. We were making 2 knots forward, and I called the weather routers. They said it wasn't getting any better, so we went ahead and turned around, and we'd only made 24 nautical miles from Galveston. We turned around, and then we were surfing down waves at 11 knots, heading back to Galveston. Before we got to Galveston, another front came in, blowing 50 knots on our nose and dumping rain on us. That was 1 hour before we could get to back to the yacht base and to get to a slip. We finally made it, got everything put away after about 6 hours of nap. We're good to go according to the weather routers. We're heading out this morning. We're supposed to have good seas, good wind all the way.
Yay, Miami! Let's try this again.
So this is our second attempt to go out. We topped off with 17 gallons of diesel that we burned the first night. Joe, you got anything for the camera?
No.
That's all.
Typical. Drinking my ginger ale, been a little queasy. I'll make it through. We're going. Over the next few days, the 4 of us fell into a routine of 4-hour watches, naps, and 3 meals a day. I really stayed nauseous for a majority of the time, so thanks to Padre for keeping up where I was slacking on the videoing. We did also keep a line out and began catching mahi that we enjoyed for dinner.
Our first fish on our trip, yay!
Good morning. Coming off of night shift. The sun is just starting to rise over the horizon. We got to see a really nice moonrise before it lightened up. Everything's going good. We got light variable winds. The seas are really calmed down, maybe 1 to 2 feet. They're still rolling us side to side, but it's not bad. Check out the sunrise.
Somewhere right in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, in almost 10,000 feet of water, a pod of dolphins joined us and swam alongside us in the boat in the wake of our bow for over 30 minutes. It was truly magical and was my favorite moment of this portion of the passage.
Sorry. Look at it.
Over the next few days, we continue to catch a few more mahi, enjoy the prettiest sunsets, have a mid-passage anchor locker leak that required a full repair, and continue taking watches at the helm while the other crews slept.
ended up in some little section of the Gulf Stream. What's happening? It ain't fun. I've been laying in the same bed in the same position for like 8 hours now. If I stay horizontal, I mostly don't feel like I'm gonna puke. I'm really not a fan of the sailing some days. Yesterday we had dolphins and it was perfect. Today it sucks. Oh, hey, Key West.
The final leg of our passage was around the tip of Key West, where they did allow us to stop for fuel, but we weren't allowed off the boat due to COVID.
Last foolish day.
We were met with squall after squall and eventually a really rough final few hours into Miami. It was another sleepless night of intense pitching seas that the crew had to navigate in the dark.
It was a very tumultuous ride-in. We have made it to Miami, and we're finally getting everything docked and hooked up. What time is it? Like 6:30? 6:30 in the morning. We've got a tired crew.
I saw that the last time I took them apart this week. Last week.
Roger's done cleaning up everything. It's a mess. It's a mess everywhere. Making some of Butchie's oatmeal from the Davis family, you know what this is, for our morning breakfast, to go apparently with rum and wine and Coke. But it's gonna be so good. It looks like porridge in this video, but I swear it's good. All right.
So, here we go. Here's to a very difficult but completed voyage.
Cheers.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along on the next adventure. Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. Previously on Ashton on Adventure, you saw the crew make the tumultuous journey from Galveston to Miami. Now that we were in Miami, we wanted to enjoy land a bit, but due to COVID, most of Miami and Dade County were on lockdown. We drove just up the road to Fort Lauderdale, where we found the nicest restaurant on the water looking at more sailboats. Just our kind of place. After lunch, we inevitably made it to the beach. While the lazy sailors don't have many standards, beach going is definitely one. Our second day in Miami was laundry day, but it was also apparently monsoon day, which was totally on par with how the entire trip had gone.
There's Madre.
It is Saturday, May 30th? We are leaving the slip of Miami, heading towards the Bahamas,
hoping to do a stop or two in the Bahamas for fuel because a lot of our stuff is motor sailing, and looking to arrive in St. Thomas. Final destination, June 7th. Hopefully 2 days before my birthday. But we leaving.
I told you I was pushing buttons.
Soon enough, we arrived in the Bahamas. We stopped in at Clarencetown, Long Island, where we could only get fuel and anchor, and with special permission from the Bahamian government. This is one of the many reasons I tolerate getting sick while sailing, so we can eventually stop and play in the water for a bit. The water was crystal clear, so you can see the Verano name and the turtle I painted on the hull back in episode 2.
Ashton.
Oh. Now I can go. We're leaving the Bahamas, Clarencetown. We just got fuel, got our updated weather report. Now we're headed down to St. Thomas. 4.5-ish, 5-ish days. Though we left Clarencetown with good spirits, the wind picked up to about 20 knots with 2-meter seas, and while half the crew was less than excited with our 20-degree heeling, the other half was having a blast doing the only real sailing we did the entire trip.
This sucks. This sucks. We have to lay sideways.
All I got to say is you don't want to be down here if she starts to break up.
You have to lay off the bed.
Made for fine maneuvering control.
Another day, lying
Why does it have
down.
to be you?
We got rails in the water.
How about what did we do? These are fine.
Starting my night watch. I've got the 8 to 11 shift. Seas ain't great. Ain't great. If I just stay mostly horizontal, I'm okay. Also got my zapper. Dramamine on board. So I'm just gonna lay here and watch the radar for 3 hours. That's it, y'all. Exciting life. Riveting. I managed to start feeling better and was able to function for my 31st birthday at sea, which was really supposed to be on land.
You videoing?
I am.
It's Ashton's birthday, so we get to pop the cork.
Try to do that real nicer. Real nicer. Shells.
Happy birthday, Ashton, and we almost made it.
Happy birthday. Your first passage at sea on your birthday.
Yes.
Here, can you get a picture?
Yep. Let's see here. Final day, and the prediction was right on the money. It's going to be flat today. No wind, so final 130 nautical miles, we're motoring on in.
To cross to where we have less than 100 miles to go, and which is huge because it's been like 734 days since we left, plus or minus 2.
This was a great last day at sea, and I soaked up as much sun as I could until we watched it set over the Atlantic one last time during this passage. The seas stayed calm for our last set of night watches, and around sunrise, we started to see the beautiful Virgin Islands that we would now call home. If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe and follow along in the next adventure. Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. Previously on Ashton on Adventure, we sailed into St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands a few days past our expected date, but we had arrived nonetheless. Since I spent my birthday at sea and was barely able to stomach my bubbly, we enjoyed a delicious celebratory dinner in Secret Harbor at the Sunset Grill. All right, that is a battery. All right, Padre, why is our floor torn apart?
Well, this filled up with salt water, and our very expensive lithium battery is now dead.
One of them.
One of the two batteries. And we have it on the dock now. We have a call in to rely on to find out what the heck. Wait, I don't know. I do not know. Don't.
Let's not blow us up. The thing about boats is there's always something going wrong, so I let Padre deal with the battery while I did my part at making her shine a bit more. Later that week, my brother and soon-to-be sister-in-law arrived to spend a few days with us on our new island.
Hey! How was the flight?
It was not bad.
Hey! How are you?
Good. I lost my mask though. You have to get my other one. I don't know what happened when I was changing. Oh, thank you.
You may have to put it back on your back.
Probably. All right.
How are you? I'm good. It's hot. It's hot.
We spent the next day at one of my favorite beaches on St. Thomas, Megan's Bay. This beach is on the north side of the island and is very protected, has almost no waves, and close to a mile of white sandy beaches. The next morning, we found a new breakfast spot before doing some sightseeing of the island.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ooh. Okay. Huevos rancheros. I'm sorry, I just put it back on.
delicious to see.
Oh yeah, that's good.
It's really good.
I'm all kinds turned around. I thought I was using Panasonic for a second.
And I put it back on auto because
I switched it around.
that's what I like.
So the auto is generally better for vlogging, no matter what camera you're using.
Little tiny mug.
It looks like it's going to be. Isn't that a so nice?
The final day, we explored the very secluded Mermaid's Chair Beach.
Hey, bud. Well, I'm not getting any closer.
To get to Mermaid's Chair, you have to hike through a preserve for 2 miles in and 2 miles out.
I thought that was like so dark and like ominous. It was so scary. And I kept waking up and going.
Once you get there, though, it's totally worth it to be the only one on the beach.
Right through there. Yeah. And we're gonna go. This is it. This is it right here.
We relaxed in a few of the tidal pools and had a cool swim before heading back up the mountain. We had our last dinner of delicious sushi before they went back to Texas. It was clearly so good, there was nothing but empty plates to show for it. If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along in the next adventure. We are heading to St. John. Today's Emancipation Day. Tomorrow is 4th of July. Sunday is July 5th. Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life,
epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. In the last episode, we explored a tiny part of our home island of St. Thomas. Just across the channel, however, is the island of St. John. The best part of living on a sailboat is being able to untie the lines and go to another island for the weekend, which is exactly what we did to celebrate our first 4th of July in our new home, along with the local holiday, Emancipation Day. This holiday commemorates the emancipation of the slaves on the island on this day in 1848. All right, first time in St. John in our own boat. Cheers.
Oh yeah, your body was crazy.
About 60% of the land area of St. John is national park, as well as more than 5,500 acres of adjacent ocean. The surrounding reefs were devastated in 2017 during Hurricanes Irma and Maria, both Cat 5 hurricanes that struck the islands only 2 weeks apart. Reef regrowth can take up to 10 years, so it's great to see tiny budding corals thriving, even if they are small.
So I'm right in between Maho and Cinnamon Bay. And there's this just like a nice little cutout. I'm gonna take a little rest here. So peaceful. It's getting close to sundown time, so let's head back to the boat.
Every night at sunset, Padre blows the conch. There are a few different ideas of where this tradition originated, but every meaning is in reference to some sort of celebration. We celebrate the beautiful sunset in the evenings and another wonderful day living in paradise.
Nailed it. Like Carol Baskin's husband's coffin.
Back right side. Wouldn't be a night if we weren't dealing with whatever that is in the build.
It's oily, sticky.
It looks like oil because it's clear with oil. We just left Maho and we're gonna head over to Water Lemon for the day. Pick up a mooring ball and dive, hang out, spend the evening there. 4th of July, so Madre is going to make brisket. Very excited about it. Texas favorite. And just have a really nice, enjoyable day. of the 7 species of sea turtles can be seen in the waters around USVI: hawksbills, greens, leatherbacks, and loggerheads. The leatherback, hawksbill, and green sea turtles are known to nest on the beaches of St. John. Loggerheads are more rare, but have been spotted. I swam with this guy for over 30 minutes, but did read later that I should not have touched him. I left the video in here specifically to say, don't touch the sea turtles. I have learned my lesson. These big guys are tarpon. In the VIs, they typically range from 2 to 6 feet in length and can look like sharks to the unknowing eye. They're not dangerous, but do look a bit mean. They're drawn to our underwater light, so it's always fun to watch them after dark. The next morning, we were up and on land for a small hike to what we've deemed the office. We call it this because you really have to hike up this hill to get any kind of cell service. The view from the office is spectacular, though. This Leinster Bay Trail is a short portion of the Johnny Horn Trail and can be done in about 30 to 45 minutes. It leads to 2 sets of ruins from the late 18th century when St. John was operating the Annaberg sugar mill. The first set of ruins is considered the garden house for the second set of ruins, which is called the Murphy Great House. From the Murphy Great House, you can see all of the surrounding islands, including the British Virgin Islands, which are set to reopen after COVID closing on December 1st to tourists.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along in the next adventure.
I have no plans and I'm not sure what's happening. Back to being a little scared, very anxious, but that's kind of what I signed up for, right? Like, I signed up for adventure, I signed up for the unknown. This is definitely in the realm of the unknown. Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. Let's try this again. Okay. Got my gonna take it for the long way round. 2 bottle whiskey for the way, and I sure would like some sweet company. And I'm leaving tomorrow. What do you say? When I'm gone, when I'm gone, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my hair. G, every time. You're gonna miss me by my hair. You're gonna miss me everywhere. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. When I'm gone. When I'm gone. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my walk. You're gonna miss me by my talk. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
Alright, what's happening?
We are probably going to have to go to Grenada early because there is a huge potential for at least a tropical storm, if not a hurricane, to come close to the Virgin Islands. We were planning to go to Grenada anyway. This may just put us there a couple of weeks early. So we're trying to get a hold of Grenada to see if they're going to let us in because of COVID.
And what are you trying to decide, Padre?
Contacting the weather routers to get feedback on route and departure times.
I had already committed to going back to the States for a few weeks, so I will not be accompanying. I think there's an extra syllable in that I'm missing. I will not be going with them. So when I'm done with my stateside travel, if I can get into Grenada, I'll fly back to the boat in Grenada. If not, I will find something else to do until I can get back to wherever the boat is. Okay, so now how do I got the floor up.
Yeah, through the secondary floor you have to lift up.
Okay, but how do I get that up?
You have to just lift it up by hand, but you kind of have to straddle the floor. You gotta have both doors shut.
Okay, both doors shut. Let's see.
Yeah. You can lift up that, and then you can just basically straddle it.
Okay. Alright. And yes, I'm doing this in a dress because I had no other clean clothes. Boat life. So this is what this looks like down here. Battery, extra stuff. This is actually what I'm here for. Back. Oh, then all of the stuff just fell out of. Okay. This is me packing my entire room to be gone for an undisclosed amount of time. And not that I'm disclosing. What's that word? What's the word for like an unknown amount of time? Undetermined amount of time. Could be a month, could be 2 months, could be 3 months. If more than 3 months, I'm just gonna swim to wherever the boat is. So yeah, this is me packing my life into a couple bags. Like 2 months later, after I just did this to get onto the boat. That's hurricane season for you guys. All evening packing. Got almost my entire wardrobe packed into 4 bags to go back to Texas,
and leave the boat for, I don't know how long. I hope it's only a month, because I've got a month of adventure planned, and then hopefully Grenada opens up their airport and I can fly back to the boat. But it could be locked down for a few extra months. I'm not sure if Madre Padre can get back to St. Thomas. Past about September 6th, I have no plans, and I'm not sure what's happening. Back to being a little scared, very anxious, but that's kind of what I signed up for, right? Like, I signed up for adventure, I signed up for the unknown. This is definitely in the realm of the unknown. We'll see. I'm gonna go to bed. We've got a very, very long day tomorrow. We have a lot going on. So, yeah. Good night. All right, Padre, new plan. What's happening?
Well, we missed our weather window. It would be really, really rough conditions. Gulf Stream kind of rough between here and Grenada. So we're just going to hope for the best, stay here, and wait for a better weather window to get to Grenada.
I will still be flying home. And I will still be flying home back to Texas for a little while they do this. Need some coffee. Bye, Verano. Hopefully I'll be back to you in 6-ish weeks. I've got bags. Padre's got a couple more of my bags. Head to the airport. Get off island before any hurricane comes. So, flying back to Houston. Just hanging out at the airport. Sitting on the floor because there's a ton of people in here. Very different flying experience with masks. I think it'll be interesting once I'm on the plane and I see, so this will be my first time flying during COVID, but I gotta get home. Well, this is home. Good afternoon, how are you?
As they're doing events of emergency, are you willing to assist?
Absolutely.
Thank you. You're going to go on the first stairs of the aircraft.
First stairs, thank you. Bye, St. Thomas. This was my first time flying since COVID really hit the US hard in early March. I wasn't quite sure what to expect flying in late July. American Airlines felt very clean and had these small treat bags for us. I also upgraded to an exit row since I'm so tall and had the entire row to myself. The St. Thomas Airport is one of my favorites to fly in and out of, just for this view of the island and Charlotte Amalie. Nervous about the whole eating on the plane thing, since at the time it wasn't very clear about how to do that and if it was okay. But since I had the whole row to myself, I felt a little bit better about it, and I needed some Pringles. I had a brief layover in Miami where you can see the airport was rather empty, but soon enough, made it to my hometown of Houston, Texas. I did make a quick stop in to get a few new art pieces from Ricky Cogburn at Main Street Tattoo in Link City before heading on to my next destination. All right, I'm packed, I'm ready. I'm having dinner with my brother and future sister-in-law tonight, and then tomorrow I head to Mexico City. There's chatter amongst the political people, politics, whatever. There's chatter amongst those people. There's chatter of them wanting to close the borders, like not allowing US citizens back in after being in either Mexico or Canada. So I'm really hoping that's not the case. I'm gonna keep an eye on that. And if I need to fly back early, I fly back early. We'll figure it out. But yeah, this is really exciting. It starts a full month of travel. Mexico City for a long weekend, come home, take 2 weeks to drive from here to Vegas, whole long weekend in Vegas, and then about a week or so to drive home, I think. Full month of travel. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. This is totally different. It's not beachy. It's not what I thought I was gonna be doing. I thought I was gonna be going down to Grenada, and that just didn't happen. So, yeah. Let's do it. Let's go have an adventure.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along in the next adventure.
And no lie, I left my front door open. So here's hoping my car actually starts.
Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. We left off with a weekend adventure in Mexico City, which was one of only a handful of international destinations open during the pandemic. Check out that highlight video if you haven't already. I flew back into Houston just to pack up my car for a 4-week solo road trip across the western United States.
All right, friends, we're leaving. Leaving today, driving to Marfa. I'm gonna stop and get some ice. Got a long drive. It's like 9.5 hours. I'm leaving an hour and 15 minutes after I planned, but that's not bad for the amount of 4 weeks worth of food, water, bags, everything I've got in there. I'm like really nervous. I wasn't nearly as nervous to like fly and go somewhere, but I don't know why driving and going somewhere is making me nervous, but also really ready to get this show on the road. West Texas, here I come. See you in 4 weeks? A month? Well, I've been driving for 45 minutes and realized I left my brand new tripod and my ukulele. Like, why couldn't I have gotten those and like forgotten my toothbrush or something? That would have made this so much easier. Ah! 10:17. Let's try this again. Maybe for the second time. I think I have all my stuff. I'm not turning around again. Like, this is, what a mess. And at this point, it's gonna be like dark when I roll into Marfa. Okay, well, that's, it's good. It's great. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
After 10.5 hours of driving, I rolled into Marfa, Texas to check into the El Cosmico Hotel. The El Cosmico is a 21-acre nomadic hotel and campground. In keeping with the belief that life should be a balance of adventure and do-nothingness, they offer shelter, occasional entertainment, and access to the majesty of the High Plains Desert. From its open, wide spaces to the vast canopy of stars above, the El Cosmico provides temporary liberation from the built world. It is a second home to travelers and wanderers from all corners of the planet. Accommodations at the El Cosmico include renovated vintage trailers, safari and scout tents, teepees, yurts, and tent campsites.
All right, friends, after 9.5 hours of driving. Actually, it's 10.5 if we count that like mess up this morning. So after 10.5 hours of driving all by myself, I've made it to the cutest little boutique trailer camper. It's like the most expensive place to stay in Marfa, but it was so cute. I had to. So now I'm gonna open up a bottle of wine. I'm gonna start with that and then we'll go from there. But I'm so happy, I'm so excited. I was so scared. I was just really nervous. The drive-in was gorgeous. I loved it. Just gorgeous. I haven't done that drive since I was like 13, I think. I'm gonna enjoy my evening, the sun setting, then get up and do some hiking tomorrow. So yeah, I'm excited. Yay, my pink trailer. I mean, it's not pink on the inside, but it's pink on the outside. It's so cute.
The next morning, I made the 45-minute drive to Davis State Park to do a bit of hiking. I literally chose the trail less traveled that was on the other side of the main road from the normal entry and a majority of the park. I had to check in with the park rangers to have access to this trail through this gate. There we go. Stay. There we go. I'm back at the farm again, making sure the cows don't get out. Okay, now we can park and my hair. Park and find the trailhead. Yeah, it's supposed to be 5 miles total. Only one on the trail. Don't forget your sunscreen. Let's do this. Oh, I made it 7 minutes and 21 seconds into the hike before I was confused about where the heck I'm going. Fairly typical, so no one should be surprised. It is what it is. I'm gonna hike whatever I hike, and if I have to turn around, I have to turn around. I don't know what I'm hiking. I don't know what I'm doing. We're lost. But it's in pretty place. Love it. Okay. No, my map. Oh no. I'm kind of thinking that this trail is supposed to lead me up there. I think. We're definitely gonna find out. I'm supposed to do that to get me up there. I think. We'll see. We'll see. It is what it is. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay, well, now I'm confused. Neat. Super neat. Because I think this is supposed to be a riverbed. This isn't on the trail map. Okay, well, I think that means go that way. Looks right. I'd probably also recommend doing your hikes in the morning as opposed to in the heat of the day. Really poor planning on my part. As Joe would say, there's no free lessons in life. Thanks, Joe. It's hot. Another random suggestion I'd have for fellow adventure enthusiasts: don't fall in love with multiple cameras, because then you turn into me. I'm holding a GoPro, carrying a Nikon. I also have, well, I have my phone in my backpack for other reasons, but I use my iPhone a lot when I don't have either one of these cameras. So it's just a lot to carry. Like, if you thought you could get by with just one, just use one. Just a little tip. It gets very heavy when you're also carrying like a gallon of water and emergency supplies and food. Just a mild suggestion. Just a brief reiteration of not hiking in the heat of the day. Poor choices were made today, and I'm suffering. It's beautiful though. Okay, partially disappointing. This trail doesn't have like a pretty scenic ending. It has a bench and the start of another trail, which is like 5.5 miles long, which I definitely don't have time to do today. That's it. So I guess the scenic stuff, I guess I've already passed that. So now I'll go back that direction. I didn't like stop and take a picture there because I was like, no, this can't be the end of the trail. Okay, thanks, trail. Time to go back. So this is where I stopped, or I should have stopped to take my picture. I survived! 5 miles in the mountains. The wrong time of day. It's okay. I did it. I'm good. Clearly, I'm the last person. Lexi's all alone. But 2 cheers for Davis Mountain State Park. It was a little closer to Marfa than Big Bend was. It also was a little further from the border than Big Bend was. Being a woman by myself and the tension there, opted to kind of stay far away from that. But I'm here! Did it! Now it's time for a really, really cold, ice cold beer. Got one in my cabin, trailer, my hopping trailer thing. Yes. So I just got done with my like 5-mile hike. Put my stuff in the back,
and walk around. And no lie, I left my front door open. So here's hoping my car actually starts. Also, thank goodness I didn't have anything in here. Definitely left it open for like the last 4.5 hours. Super neat. Thanks for the other like 4 people that were here that didn't steal anything from my car. Luckily, my car did start and I made it back to my hot pink vintage trailer just in time for sunset. That's my cute little place. If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe and follow along in the next adventure. So, this is an experience. This is new. I went from being on a boat in the islands to being in a teepee. Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. I left Marfa in the hot pink trailer as I was telling you that I was heading out to Ruidoso, New Mexico, and singing some version of Back on the Road Again with these corresponding hand gestures while covering the mic. I grew up skiing in Ruidoso at Ski Apache, so as I was adding stops to my road trip, I just knew I needed to stop in there and see the town as an adult. Okay, so I had to run in before I could show you the outside because it started raining. I'm in my teepee, and it's raining. And I literally pulled up and grabbed my bag and ran over here and got inside. But it's so cool. It's super cool. Look who's coming to visit me. Hi, kitty. Hello. So I have the grill, 2 chairs, 2 hammocks, that thing, a fire pit, porta potties up there. The shower is back around the other side of the house. So the owner actually lives there. There's another teepee, and then there's 2 tent camping sites on the other side. And then this is my teepee. Thankful that was up there because it rained really hard last night. I didn't make the bed back very nicely, but it's got a little fan, which I don't need. A little, that thing, refrigerator. Words are hard. Yeah, nice big bed. It's like legit. That's the ground, the dirt underneath there. So I got really cold last night. That's my little teepee. Super cute, and my new kitty friend. Good morning. This morning I was feeling a little tired. I didn't sleep well last night. There were lots of animal noises. So many like animals in and around my tent, and I could hear them, and like the coyotes and everything. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. It was wonderful, but I didn't sleep well. So I decided this morning was not the morning for a hike, but I still wanted to do something and get out and see something. So I'm driving up the mountain to, the ski resort is closed. Usually during the summer you can do like mountain biking and just ride the lifts and that kind of stuff. Can't do that, thanks COVID. But I'm still gonna drive up to the mountain and just see. It's only like a 40-minute drive to the top, so I'm just gonna drive up there and maybe have a picnic. Just a nice leisurely day, and then I'll probably go back and hang out at the campsite, read a book, work on a video, something leisurely. Okay, catch
catch you on the flip side. That is what a ski resort looks like with no snow. I grew up skiing there. Okay, so I'm gonna make myself a little mountaintop sandwich. Driving back down the mountain, I came across this little path. So I dare say it's a little busy in the town. Like, I guess like there's just a ton of people here and walking the streets. I'm probably gonna stay away from Main Street just to be safe. This episode shall be titled Ashton starts a fire by herself. Should probably put my hair up first, so I'll catch that on fire too. Okay, so he said just put this in here. Okay, then you're supposed to do like 3 of these, right? Maybe? Can we start with 2? Let's start with this. Alright, they said to just like this. So, give it a try. We'll see. Okay. Well, we have some smoke. Oh. Not like killed anyone yet. That's a good sign. Look at me go! I made fire! I mean, this made fire. I just set it all up correctly. See how that works.
I found this teepee on Airbnb and Lisa was a fantastic host. I'll put the link down in the description below.
So here's the issue. There's obviously a storm coming. You can hear the thunder. I'm not 100% sure what to do with the door. Not latches, but like the ties outside. So I just kind of awkwardly stuck my hands outside and tied that in, and then I think this piece, this like extra piece here, goes across the door. I think. Also made the mistake of drinking a couple glasses of wine before I had to make this decision. You can hear the thunder. So this is an experience. This is new. I went from being on a boat in the islands to being in a teepee. It's interesting, y'all. This is my life now. today I think we're just gonna do this around the, we're gonna start with that and go from there. I'm not 100% that this is an actual trail, but I think it's gonna get me to the water level. Okay, today I'm at Grindstone Canyon Lake, Grindstone something. The altitude has really knocked me on my ass. I wanted like an easy hike. I still wanted to be out today. Vitamin D always makes me feel better. Movement always makes me feel better, but it's kicking my butt today. Also doesn't help, they're getting all of the smoke from all of the wildfires in California and Colorado right now. Super hazy. So that mixed with the altitude just kind of got me feeling today. So the signs say that technically a mask is required at all times. Yeah, so a mask is technically required even when hiking, even when swimming, which I don't really understand that one, but hiking with a mask though, ain't nobody got time for that. Or the breath support at like 8,000 feet with smoke in the air. But I'm gonna comply, don't worry. There are some dogs over there that are not happy. Much harder than it looks. Well, another strike against my inability to go anywhere without getting lost. I'm not lost, but while I said I was taking the easy trail, which should have been at the waterline, somehow managed to pick the one that was going up the mountain. It's typical, very typical for me to do the harder thing and the lost thing, but I don't have anything else to do, so I'm just gonna go as far as I can. Maybe pick a spot and have lunch, and I'll go back down to the water line where I was supposed to be the whole time. It's okay, this is the universe telling me I can do it today, and it's gonna be great. Never actually read what these are. Chicken, beef, pork, and chicken broth. Oh, they even suggest you microwave these. Fancy. Don't let her yell. I'm sure these people on either side of me think I'm crazy. I'm talking to myself. Whatever. So, after my hike today, I fell asleep in the hammock for like 2 hours. Then I wanted a hot meal because this was one of the places that doesn't have any, doesn't have a stove. So I stopped and got me a burger at this little local burger joint. And it's really good. Like, look at this. It's called Anaheim Jack's. Mexico. Highly recommend it. I think we have some unexpected visitors. Like a whole family of them. So these are apparently wild horses that come and just visit the property all the time. They're so tiny. And there's another guy over there. Brand new babies. Just right here next to my teepee are a bunch of wild horses. Look at this baby. Hi, beautiful. Hi, bud.
there's elk running through the pasture next door. I think those are elk. What a night. I really enjoyed my 3 days in Ruidoso, New Mexico, but I was very excited to head off to Sedona, Arizona for my next adventure. If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along on the next adventure. Perks of roughing it. Going through my clothes and finding a cockroach. It's a good thing I grew up in the South and I can handle a cockroach, but so many bugs. So many bugs. Ugh. Ooh. Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. Not sure what this is, but it looks fancy. Something. Biggest petrified tree? I don't think that's a tree. It's a rock! All right, almost 8 hours of driving today from Ruidoso to Sedona. I'm here, I made it to my little glamping cabin. I'm like, check the view. So I ran over to Whole Foods and just got a little chicken teriyaki bowl to eat tonight because I'm exhausted. And so I'm just eating my chicken teriyaki bowl with that view. I'm just gonna watch the sunset here. Like, how perfect. How perfect. It's totally different than my teepee last night. Very different from my teepee from last night. But it's beautiful. It's wonderful. I'm so glad I came here. Okay. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see me on the GoPro. It is 4:32 in the morning. And it's my first morning in Sedona, and I'm heading out to hike the Devil's Bridge for, normally not a morning, well, not that I'm not a morning person. Once I'm up and moving, I'm going. I'm good. But I've heard it's like such a popular place, which obviously is why I want to go, that you really have to get there super early in order to A, get a parking spot, and B, be able to take a picture. Like, apparently people stand in line for hours to get a picture there, which is worth it. I would do, but if I can get there earlier and not have to stand in line for hours to take a picture, also down for that. Another reason I'm doing it so early is because I've got to find a place to do laundry
In 800
today.
feet, at the traffic circle, take the second exit onto Arizona 89A.
Second exit. I've got to do laundry today, y'all. It's been a week and a half and I got to do some laundry. After I hike that, I should be back around lunchtime and can find some time to do that, and then I'll kind of plan from there. That's as far as I've planned. Yeah, I'm super excited. This place is gorgeous. I can't wait to get there and see it and watch the sunrise and take some pictures. Second exit, I think is what Siri says. First one on the trail this morning. It's the very first one in the parking lot. I'm super excited because someone came up right behind me. I was like, I gotta be the first. Apparently it's this very dirt road for like a mile. Oh, there's stuff all over the camera.
It's a dirt road and it's like cool out here. Like chilly cool. If you have a high clearance vehicle, you can drive in a little bit more. I might have been able to make this on Lexi. I wasn't really wanting to do that to her. I don't know what of this you can see or hear or... I'm ready. I've had my coffee. Got a lot of water. I've also got an iced tea. It's not so iced. Okay. Well, someone in a Jeep just beat me. I'm no longer the first person. I'm a little sad about it. Apparently I need a Jeep and not a Lexus. Okay, so now I'm on the actual trail. People in the Jeep weren't on the trail yet. So I'm still good. Still the first person up there. They were very concerned that I was by myself and in the dark. I get that. I'm like running to get up there. So when I come back, it'll be hella hot, but I can do it a little slower. All right, it's finally light enough outside. You can see the trail and hear me huffing and puffing because I'm like running up this to make it in time. Did it. It was a success. It's only like 6:30 in the morning. So I'm kind of hiking around the corner just to see the sunrise on the mountains, and then I'll head back down before it gets really hot. There were only a few other people up here with us. I got as much picture and video as I wanted. It's beautiful here. I love it. Okay. I mean, the mountains were gorgeous in New Mexico. This might take the cake. I super extra love it here. But it's only 6:30 in the morning and it's like 85 degrees, so maybe a little bit warm. That's fine. A little sweat never hurt anyone, right? Right? So I made it up here in the dark, but apparently I can't figure out how to get down in the light. Maybe it was like that 5:30 a.m. rush. I'm not quite sure how I made it up this. Ooh. Maybe it just felt like stairs going up. That's how I made it, is because it just felt like stairs. I mean, it is stairs. Look. It's just stairs all the way up and stairs all the way down. It's just much harder going down. Or maybe it's scarier. I don't know. I don't know. Either way, I need some breakfast and more coffee. Yes. I got scolded by an old man for not wearing a mask. I was not standing within 6 feet of him. There's like a dozen people on this trail, maybe. I'm sorry, dude. He was like, why don't young people wear masks? I was like, for starters, I'm 31. I'm not that young, but thanks. very bright sunrise. Just heading back down. Ooh, maybe. I did all this in the dark, so this is where I came in. It's really bright. And that is the trailhead. Right up there. And then this is a Jeep route that I walked about a mile down. Highly, highly, highly recommend just getting up early, grabbing a headlamp, and hiking in the dark. It's super easy to do in the dark. I get lost like all day, every day. I'm always lost. So yeah, just grab a headlamp, follow the signs, and definitely get there for sunrise. 100% worth it. 100%. And now I've got the whole rest of the day to do whatever I want. Okay, they weren't lying. Get here early because there is no parking. None. All right, 8 a.m., 8:05. Back in the car. Did a full hike. I don't even know how long that is. It says it was like 4-ish miles in and out. So I've got the whole day ahead of me. Need to do some laundry. I'm so happy with the decision to get up this early and do this. It was awesome. It was amazing. It was perfect. Highly, highly recommend it.
Turn left to stay on Dry Creek Road.
Don't be like these people who are just coming in now because they're not going to find parking, and it's going to be hot as hell up there. Literally like Hades. Did Devil's Bridge this morning. Man, I'm exhausted. I think everything's just kind of like going and going and going is kind of caught up with me. So I just kind of took it easy tonight. I really wanted to do Cathedral Rock for sunset tonight, and that did not happen. I was exhausted. I've got blisters, which I got in Marfa and just have not been able to get rid of. I just kind of am taking it easy, and then I'll get up and kind of decide what I want to do in the morning based on how I'm feeling. It's like good and bad. Like I wish I had more energy that I could just go, but I'm on like day 9, I think, of travel. I just needed a little break, little rest after my morning coffee. Then we will make the decision. All right, I decided to go for it. I'm hiking not the Easy Breezy Trail. That's not what I'm doing. Cathedral Rock. I'm not sure if it's that guy or not, but doing it for sunset, which means I kind of have to boogie because there was this storm and I wasn't sure if it was gonna hit, so I waited. So anyways, yep. Forgot to mention, it's also 110 degrees today. This girl needs some humidity. So dry. Holy smokes, guys. This is cool. Walk out to the ledge and see if it's as scary as it looks. It looks a little scary. Okay, let's watch your step. It's really scary. It's driving around scary.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along in the next adventure.
I don't know what that is, but I really hope everyone in that airplane was okay. That's like one of my worst nightmares. Seriously. Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. In the last episode, we ended with a stunning Sedona sunset. Today, I'm stopping in Flagstaff to get the highly recommended Diablo Burger before heading off to the Grand Canyon. Heading to the Grand Canyon. I stopped in Flagstaff, went to Target, got a few more groceries because I'm not quite sure what's up here. So yeah, now I'm heading out to Grand Canyon. I kind of got to take my time today because it's only like an hour and 15 minutes from Flagstaff where I'm staying. But it's really off the grid. At least it claims to be off the grid. I don't know if I'm gonna have cell service or not. So, Grand Canyon, here we come. This time I will not say what I said as a 13-year-old where I said that it was just a big hole in the ground. Didn't age well. My 13-year-old self was sassy, okay? Grand Canyon or bust. Hopefully more on the Grand Canyon side than the bust side. They weren't lying when they said this was off the grid. This is interesting. Okay, I just got here and it's super cute. It's so different from where I just was. So I've got a little seating area. That's a lay down hammock thing. And my tent. And there's a couple other campsites over there, but they're like really far away. There's like nothing else out here except for a storm. I'm gonna give you the grand tour before I move any of my stuff in. Okay. This is my little tent. This is called the Bohemian tent. And look how cute it is. I didn't really need a third bed, but it was what was available on Airbnb. Like, okay. There's like enough room to have a party in here. I mean, just me, but. Okay, I've seen my tent. I've seen how to get here in the daylight. I know where I'm going. Ish. It's like hot as hell here and obviously not a place to just like hang out in the middle of the day when it's like 99 degrees. So I'm gonna go drive and see the Grand Canyon because that's what I came here for, right? On my 45-minute drive from the campsite to the Grand Canyon, a storm blew through and dropped the temperature to a cool 60 degrees, but it did rain on and off all afternoon. Oh, hey, bud. You gonna move? Is the bus gonna push you out of the way? Oh, that's rude. That was rude of them. So I'm trying to figure out how to light this butane propane thing and then cook ramen noodles in a skillet. I think you just So we're just going to get the same amount of water that should be and just spread the water out, right? Probably way too much water. Actually, let me just tell you guys, when I decided I wanted to go camping, really going camping, all the camping, I just wanted a hot meal tonight. Not just wine and hummus, which is what I've lived off of the last couple days. ramen noodle is not as good as wine and hummus. Let's just... This will be interesting. Boil, 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 boil. I'm really worried about that canvas right there. See? Ramen in like an egg skillet. Lamp out of the way. Ramen noodle in a tent on a teeny tiny little stove in the middle of nowhere. I'll take it. These frolicking cows started their day very vocally mooing at 6 a.m. outside my tent. What a way to wake up. So this cute little tent I'm staying in obviously doesn't have any power. So I'm having to charge everything from my car on the 40-minute ride into Grand Canyon National Park. My charger charging. Oh no, my Garmin charging so that people know where I'm at. And I've got my phone charging on my other power brick. When I return, I guess maybe I'll charge the GoPro from it's a USB-C, so I'll charge that from my laptop. I feel like I'm gonna run out of charge. I started way late today, so I'm gonna hate myself when I'm out hiking. Don't worry, I've got plenty of water. Pre-hydrating with liquid IV. It's my new favorite thing. I'm gonna hate myself, but I got up and I enjoyed my coffee right there, watching literal nothing. I just hung out for a little bit. I'm on my own vacation, so I can make my own schedule. And if that includes me being mad at myself for hiking in the middle of the hottest part of the day in the Grand Canyon, then as Joe says, there's no free lessons. I'll just sweat a lot today. It'll be fine. It's like super heartbreaking. You probably can't see it, but down the road is closed because right over there a little mini airplane. I mean, it's like a 2-seater airplane crashed like in the middle of the freaking road. So no one can really get like in and out of the park. Why are they letting people walk? They're like letting people walk back and forth, like to go look at it. Hopefully that means there were no fatalities. Oh, that's just so scary. So because there's no way in and out of the park, and I don't want to just sit in my tent for nothing, I've got to find something else to do. So I don't know what that is, but I really hope everyone in that airplane was okay. That's like one of my worst nightmares. Seriously. I sat outside the visitor center for 2 hours waiting on them to clear the road before I went adventuring elsewhere. I took a scenic 1.5-hour drive to Snow Bowl, this small ski resort, to see what they had to offer. Okay, so ended up on a ski lift, 10 minutes up, 10 minutes down. And you could buy a drink for your ride. So why the heck not? I'm kind of obsessed. This is weird doing it without ski clothes on. And I'm all by myself. All by myself. But it's cool seeing the ski runs. Nothing on them. That's how that should be. You go up, you get off, you ski down. You don't go down. Like, don't like. It's gorgeous though, but it's stressing me out a little bit. All right, friends. Technically it's day 3 in the Grand Canyon. First day it was raining, so I just visited little points. Oh, that's cute. Just married. Squirrel. What was I even saying? Oh, day 3, Grand Canyon. First day was raining, so I just drove around and stopped at all the points. Second day, closed due to the plane wreck thing. So now it's 11:21. I'm just getting the latest starts. I'm starting at the furthest point you can start the South Rim trail at. It's supposed to be a really easy trail, but just not hiking down into the Grand Canyon. Just see where it takes me. Just a couple miles, see the Grand Canyon. Say I've done it, but it's really nice. It's like only 80 degrees right now. So though it's a dry 80 degrees, it's not bad. It's way better than 120, which is what it was last week. So thanks, Mother Nature. Okay, well, that's my trail. And hi, bud. Or lady. How y'all doing? Okay, nice to meet you. Bye. That was easy enough. She's beautiful. Yep. Oh, so I guess that's where it wanted me to go. Here's a behind the scenes of what my camera sees when I'm snapping my pictures for Instagram. You know what? There was a 20% chance of rain, 7 a.m. this morning. The rest of the day, 0. I don't think I believe Arizona weather. Keep flying. I'm enjoying that it's a little breezy and brisk. It's like 75, let's be real. Whew. But the trail is totally paved and very easy. Most of the time you're by the actual like wall up there. Not wall, drop off, kind of the opposite of a wall. This is the lookout from the visitor center at the Grand Canyon, where visitors can park and access with just a few steps, as opposed to the 3-mile hike I took. This was in late August, and as you can see, there wasn't much care for social distancing here. I went in, fully masked up, got my picture, and then got out of there. And then all of a sudden, we're sunny again. Okay, Arizona. You're weird, but beautiful. Alright, this is the South Rim. Today we parked here and did the like 3-ish miles up here. And then 3-ish miles back. So that's what we did, or are doing, in the process of. Post hike, just hanging out in this hammock for 2 people.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along in the next adventure.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Every single time. It's unreal. And I'm so grateful for it. So grateful that this day was really hard so that this would be really good.
Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure.
It's Sunday the 30th. I'm driving away from my super cute little tent camping spot in right outside the Grand Canyon. I'm heading to Horseshoe Bend today on the way to get to my little cabin in Zion. So another 5-ish hours of driving on the docket for today. Thanks for following along. Let's go to Zion. So the only bathroom for like 100 miles is closed because it's all on the Navajo land, and the Navajo is on like a full lockdown. There were like 4 or 5 cars up there that were like, we need the bathroom. Like, I feel that a lot. So hopefully we get off the Navajo land quickly. It's beautiful. I love it. Thank you, Navajo. But also I have to pee. Oh, I made it to Horseshoe Bend. It'd be like a 1.5 mile round trip, so super short. It's just a little overlook. Of course, I'm doing it in the heat of the day. Per the usual. Okay, literally took me like 10 minutes to walk down here, which means there's a ton of people here. So I read all trails that if you like just keep walking around the rim, you'll find places you can be that don't involve all of the kids and sightseers. I mean, I'm a sightseer too, but those kinds of sightseers.
Horseshoe Bend is a horseshoe-shaped incised meander of the Colorado River just outside of the town of Page, Arizona. It is also referred to as the East Rim of the Grand Canyon. Horseshoe Bend is 5 miles downstream from the Glen Canyon Dam and Lake Powell. This is about 4,200 feet above sea level, and this overlook is an open 1,000-foot drop-off.
There's where everyone else is at. It is rather hot out here today. Highly recommend Horseshoe Bend. It is super easy to get in and out of. $10 at the door. Happy to pay. Just bring your water. Also, if you're a photographer, highly recommend a 30mm lens. The 50 was hard to work with. Or a GoPro Hero 8, like what I'm filming on now. Super wide angle, helped a lot. Probably the best shots from today are gonna come from the GoPro. I'm gonna go back to the car and now finish driving to Zion.
Oh, this morning, I'm honestly not sure what time it is. I'm in Utah now, but part of Arizona doesn't do the daylight savings time. Like, my computer says one time, my phone says one time, iPad says another. Anyways, it's early. I was up with the sun, but I'm tired today. I have terrible shin splints and my feet are super blistered. So I'm just taking it easy this morning. I love to be outside and doing stuff. I'm just gonna edit a little bit and just give my body a chance to breathe and relax a little bit. And then probably I'll drive up to Bryce Canyon this evening and watch sunset out there. And then tomorrow I'll do Zion. I'm just gonna give my body some time to rest and stretch out my legs a little bit. 2 cheers to yoga with Megan. And yeah, I'm just gonna take it easy today. I really didn't want to have another rest day like this, but my body and my brain, we're a little tired today. Just gonna take it easy for a bit.
So I talked about resting today. that lasted all of about 4 hours before I was like, I've got to go do something. I will drive up to Bryce, which is another 2 hours, I think, and do late afternoon at Bryce. Trying not to be there in the heat of the day, which is what I've done like the last like 5 spots. Yeah. Okay. All right, I have made it into Zion. So today I'm just gonna drive through the park and see some cool stuff, and then head up to, you go through the park to get up to Bryce.
Zion National Park is located in southwestern Utah near the town of Springdale. A prominent feature of the 229 square mile park is Zion Canyon, which is 15 miles long and up to 2,600 feet deep.
All right, no stops in the tunnel. This is a mile-long tunnel built under the mountain, which is only mildly terrifying. I don't want to like turn on my brights to blind someone, but I kind of like to. Oh, there we go. There we go. And a little late. Okay. So I kind of underestimated this drive to Bryce, and it's only been made longer that they have a ton of construction on the one road to get into the canyon. So it's taken me like 2.5 hours to get here. Either way, it's like 3:30 already. Man. Alrighty, I made it into Bryce. I'm just gonna do a short little like 1.5 mile loop, although that's what I said when I was at the Grand Canyon 8 miles later. Yeah, so I'm starting at Sunset Point. I'm trying to do the Navajo loop or the Wall Street loop, whichever one I come to first. They're both supposed to be good views and cool. Right now, there's nothing but pine trees. Are those pine trees? Trees. Green trees that smell like trees.
The major feature of this park is Bryce Canyon, which, despite its name, is not actually a canyon, but a collection of giant natural amphitheaters along the eastern side of the Paunsaugunt Plateau.
Well, I don't think this is really where I meant to go, but try. Why not? Famous last words.
Bryce is distinctive due to geological structures called hoodoos, formed by frost weathering and steam erosion of the river and lake bed sedimentary rocks.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Okay, glad I drove the 3 hours out here to do this. It's definitely different. For sure. So the wind's picked up a lot. There kind of looks like there's something, even though there's nothing on the radar, there's something forming over there. I just kind of got one of those feelings that's like, maybe you should turn back, and I should trust that feeling. Yeah, I'm gonna turn back. Fix my hat. Anywho, I'm gonna turn back, which means I have to go uphill all the way through that thing I just said I wasn't. Uphill. But I just have a bad feeling, so I'm gonna go back. I'm just gonna do the mile back uphill. That's what I'm gonna do. I am not quite sure how I can survive Julie Pennington's spin class, and I cannot survive getting up this hill. Why is it so much harder? But like, I could just stay here and look at the views. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I don't have a tennis ball. If I had a tennis ball, I'd be using that. And this is very hard to do one-handed. I'm trying to roll out my shin splints because they hurt so bad. Ugh. Okay, I'm up, I'm moving. I'm like an hour late. Luckily my shuttle time for Zion has like an hour leeway. I'm on the struggle bus today. I'm legit having to tell myself, get up, go hike the Narrows. You don't have to hike all 8 miles of it. And then I can go back home and take a nap. Like I'm having to like almost bribe myself to go. Tomorrow I can sleep in, and I'm driving to Moab, so I don't have to hike tomorrow. Y'all, I'm so exhausted because I ended up driving like almost 6 hours yesterday back and forth to Bryce, and my shin splints are so bad. I mean, like, I feel like I'm just a broken record. I'm just exhausted and I'm by myself, so I'm just having to bribe myself to get up and get moving and stuff done today because that's what I wanted to do. I do want to do it. I really, really do. I just need like 5 cups of coffee to do it, which I have coffee and I have Red Bull, so I can make this happen. Just might be a little jittery walking down the Narrows today. All right, I've got my walking stick rented for $7. And now I'm heading to the shuttle. Look how pretty. Can't actually see behind me. There we go.
Also with temperatures expected to be at 100 degrees today, we expect sure to stay hydrated and have plenty of water with you.
So we've got 1 mile of a dry hike and then up to 8 miles walking through the river. So we'll see how long it lasts. This is the jump off point. Everyone leaves the trail, puts on their water shoes, and as you can see, it's really, so my first little river crossing, that water is cold. Like, I will be doing everything I can to not fall today because it's so cold. I've taken precautions just in case. An Icon is in a waterproof bag. Everything else can get wet, but it's cold. But y'all, look how pretty it is. It's so cold. It's so cold. Also, there's lots of people around, so I'm just keeping on my mask just because, for safety. So glad that I drank all my coffee and had all my issues this morning, and I still made it here on time because this is one of the coolest things I've ever done. Also, the further in you get, the less people you get, because they all had kids with them, and this is hard to do with kids. It's hard to do as a 31-year-old 6-foot-tall person with a stick and the right shoes. So yeah, weeding them out mile by mile.
just when I was starting to feel a little overconfident, I fell on the rock. And then, because I was feeling so down about falling on the rocks, I fell into the river. So I'm now soaked. And that's why I put the Nikon in a waterproof bag. But one thing I didn't think about was falling onto the Nikon. It doesn't matter if it's in a waterproof bag if I smash it. Neat. Thank you, universe, for humbling me yet again. I always love those nice little reminders. So not fall in the river again. That'd be swell. I like this guessing game though, of like where to put your foot. So every time I turn a corner here, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Every single time. It's unreal. And I'm so grateful for it. So grateful that this day was really hard so that this would be really good. Made it into this much darker and cooler canyon. Cooler as in temperature wise. I mean, it is really cool, but so I'm heading back now. I made it about 2.5 miles in. They say the loop is 8 miles, so I don't know if there's an end or it's a river, so it's gonna start somewhere. I'm tired. I've fallen into the river a couple times and I'm starving and I've got to pee and there's nowhere. Men, you have it easy. Ladies, there's literally no bushes to squat behind. There's nothing. And the trail is way too populated to just go for it. So, just hiking back so I can use the bathroom and get a beer or something. That's what I really want. Made it to the end of the trail. Came from that way. This is the walkway about a mile up to the shuttle buses. Now I'm just letting my feet dry, my sandals dry, before putting on my tennis shoes so that I can hike in the sand back up to the shuttles. Good hike. I'm tired now. Very tired. I want a cheeseburger and a beer. Ooh, maybe pizza and a beer. Either way, beer. If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along on the next adventure. Like, this has just been the craziest time of my whole life. I'm not mad about it. It's just crazy and I'm having to get used to it. Like, I don't know how people do this, I guess, for years and years at a time. Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. Good morning. It is, well, it's 11:30, so it's close to not being morning. But leaving the Zion area, headed to Moab today. I got some sleep yesterday after hiking the Narrows. I've got a 5-hour drive, and then I've got to find a place to do some laundry because I've used all my clothes. Not all my clothes, because let's be real, I way overpacked, but I've used all my hiking clothes. I need to do more hiking, so need to wash those. That's it. Happy Wednesday. I think it's a Wednesday. I don't know. Time is irrelevant these days. It's fine. Everything's fine. So So there were not many options in Moab to stay in. I didn't originally have this booked because I was supposed to leave Zion to go to Vegas, and Vegas got canceled. So I just picked out this cute little place. It wasn't too expensive. They had like this or an actual RV. I don't have a problem with RVs, but it wasn't what I was looking to stay in. It's super cute on the outside. It's totally doable on the inside. The decor could use a little, I mean, but I'm not here for decor. I'm here for a nice place to sleep and a hot shower. So it's got a cute little kitchen, a cute little living area. Up there has a loft that sleeps 3, bathroom, king size bed. I haven't slept in a king size bed and I haven't had this much space since I moved out of my house in Lake City, which tomorrow will be a year. I moved out of that house in Lake City. So, I'm gonna make a pizza, drink wine, and lay across the king size bed and watch TV. That's what I'm gonna do. First, I've gotta go find a laundromat because we're going on week 3? Yeah, week 3. Yeah, so here I am, Moab. You can't see any of Moab from here, but tomorrow I'm gonna do 1 or 2 of the hikes at Arches, laundry, pizza, wine, sleep in a king size bed. Boom.
Obviously close to sunset, and I drove into Arches National Park to do a little sunset hike, and got it real close, but it's about 3 miles in and out, so kind of got a buggy. But this is apparently the place to watch sunset. So, let's go see. Let's find out. This one is rated strenuous because you've got to climb that face, and it's like totally just flat rock. It's interesting. Should have had all that windies. More up that way. Hopefully only a little more. Very cool. Now I'm just hiking back. Hopefully, I've got my headlamp, but hopefully it doesn't get too dark. There's lots of other people hiking back as well. So, it was very hard. Well, hard for me today. I'm really glad I did it. I got out, I moved my body. I mean, 3 miles uphill. I moved my body. So, yeah. And tomorrow, I might come back in the morning. I don't know. I think I might. Yes, I have on makeup this morning. Going back to Arches to snap a few other pictures. I have blisters all over my feet. I cannot hike, but I wanted to go see more and like, why the heck not? Dress cute when you did it. All right, Bluetooth connected. What I was saying originally, but I have the focus of a goldfish. I find it really interesting that over the last 3 weeks, I've adopted this, like, I take in all 4 of my bags to wherever I'm staying, live out of them for like 2 days, and then just take 30 minutes and get everything back into my car and then leave again. Like, it's not the most organized system, but I've kind of perfected it at this point. I have 2 more stays. I'll drive to Boulder today, stay with my aunt and uncle for a few days, and then I'm gonna try and make Boulder to Dallas all in one day. It's just an awful, like, there's not much to do in between there, and I really don't want to stop in between there, so I'm gonna try and do all 12 hours in one long hard day. So then I'll stay a night or 2 in Dallas with some family and then get back to Houston. And then I've got 2 weeks in Houston before I fly back down to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where my parents and my boat are. And then we will be there for 2.5 weeks, and then we will sail back up to St. Thomas. I'm enjoying this. Some days I really miss routine, so I have to set a plan in place. Having a little bit of a plan helps me out, feel a little less out of control. Yeah, that's kind of my plan for like the next month and a half. Like, this has just been the craziest time of my whole life. I'm not mad about it. It's just crazy, and I'm having to get used to it. Like, I don't know how people do this, I guess, for years and years at a time. I don't know. Maybe they find their own routines and they got their own thing.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along in the next adventure.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at this guy. Okay, I'm trying to like GoPro and get a picture at the same time. This is like, oh my gosh, look how big he is.
Hey y'all, I'm Ashton. I recently left Texas for a world of adventure in the Caribbean and beyond. So join me as I journey to find the prettiest sunsets, friendliest sea life, epic views, and the best beach bars. Stay curious, friends, and enjoy the ride. After all, to live would be an awfully big adventure. After leaving Moab, I drove to my aunt and uncle's place in the beautiful Boulder, Colorado. The first day, we hiked to the Green Mountain West Ridge Trail in 95-degree heat. The temperature is definitely important to note for what's to come later on in this video. That evening, I spent some time with a few friends from my University of Houston days who live in Denver now.
All right, we're in downtown Denver. Is this downtown Denver? We're Rhino. Join my YouTube video, guys. We've gone to a few different breweries. Altitude's much different here. I'm gonna let them decide where we're going. Are we going? Are we not going? Where does the YouTube need to? I don't care what. At this point, I've had enough beer. I don't care what we do. It's supposed to get down to like 31 tonight, and then snow tomorrow, which is really borderline rude because they don't have any goals for that. But I'm with some Hilton College friends, even though they don't want to be seen. Yeah. I just woke up in Boulder. Snowy. I've traveled all over, but as a Houston girl, snow is still no winking. Oh, geez Louise, it's cold. It's 32 degrees. It still looks like rain. Nice little snowflakes. Okay, it's also really cold and I'm still in my pajamas, so. No, you cannot go outside, Winkin. This is Winkin. Until then, we're gonna make some coffee and edit a video because that's perfect. Couch sitting, enjoying weather. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna drive home yet or not tomorrow. It's gonna kind of depend on how I see things are, and all of that. Woke up to this winter wonderland and it's snowing again. This island girl does love to see some snow on vacation. I don't want to live in the snow, but I want to see it like this. So heading to, I was gonna drive back to Dallas today from from Boulder to Dallas. It's still snowing. So I'm gonna hang out here in this winter wonderland for another day. So today I'm driving up to Rocky Mountain National Park. It's like an hour drive from here. They've got like a reservation system right now. So I've got a 2-hour pass to get in. Let's be real, I'm not equipped for snow hiking. So I borrowed some tall socks since I don't have long pants. And I'm just gonna make do with what I've got. And I might be a little cold, but I'm not really gonna go snow hiking. I'm just gonna go see the sights and probably get out and like make a snow angel at some point because I'm from Houston and we don't get snow. So snow on vacation is like magical. It's not quite Disney World, but it's pretty close until I get too cold and I can't function. So I'm gonna go get to that point. I'm gonna test those limits. All I've got is like my hiking tennis shoes and make it work. Like, it'll be cold, but like I'm not equipped for this at all. I was planning for the 110 degrees that I had in Sedona, not the 32 feels like 27 that's happening here. I'm really happy to see snow before I go back down to an island for however long. So yeah, it's just started snowing again. It's not supposed to start warming up until like later this afternoon. So I'm gonna go explore and have some fun and do some snowbird things, which I'm not a snowbird. I'm an island tropical flower that like wilts in the snow, but it's fine. I will stay out until I start to wilt and then I will come back. I have made it to Estes Park. I still have an hour before my Rocky Mountain reservation. I can't get in until noon. It's 29 degrees here and it's really cold. Like, not prepared for how cold it is. I mean, my top half has like lots of layers and it's fine, but I did not have lots of layers for my bottom half. So I'm just in leggings and tall socks. That's not enough to keep this girl warm. I can't be here and not see all of this stuff. But yeah, 29 degrees. 29. It's cold. Me looking at a map, this map, is actually comical because I have no idea. I can't. Terrible with directions. And I don't even know where I'm at. Deer something. Deer Mountain. There we go. Now that I found out where I'm at, I think I'm just gonna keep driving until this road ends and then I'll turn back around. Well, that one goes back around, so we don't wanna go that way. We wanna go that way. Road closed from here mid-October to Memorial Day. Well, it's September 9th and there's like a crap ton of snow on the ground. So I don't know. I don't know how they do that. Okay, let's go find out. Like, it just feels so magical. So magical. Okay. I'm gonna go down here and see what's down here. So the path does continue, but all of the trees have kind of fallen over. So I'm just gonna okay. There we go. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm not quite sure what's happening. I think it's a bunch of deer or elk. Everyone is stopped on the side of the road. These yahoos are like way closer than I would be. That deer's got a rack on it though. Hunting's not allowed here. But I could really go for some venison chili. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at this guy. Okay, I'm trying to like GoPro and get a picture at the same time. This is like, oh my gosh, look how big he is. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm still saying oh my gosh because that was like the biggest elk I've ever seen. Deer, elk, I don't know what it was. It had massive horns. Still want some venison chili. I might make that for dinner. But oh my gosh. Okay, so I stopped it. It's supposed to be like an easy half mile walk around Bear Lake. It's like really fogged over, so I don't know how much I'll actually be able to see. But we'll see. Something to do. Like there's the lake. Can't really see across it. All right, back in the car. I hiked around Bear Lake. It was just a little half mile. It was really icy and it was really cold, so that was long enough for me. I'm really happy I came to Rocky Mountain today. I was originally going to drive home and I'm very, very happy that I made this decision because it was just a really nice, really this is my last like big stop before I get back to Houston. So this was nice. My face is still frozen. Yeah, so now I've got like an hour and a half drive back to Boulder and then I'm going to turn on the fireplace. Shout out to Mike and Kristen for having an awesome house. I feel like I'm staying in a 5-star resort. Yeah, I'm gonna turn on the fireplace, watch a movie. I mean, like, I'm just gonna hang out tonight. And I'm really happy with that. So, yeah. Rocky Mountain, 10 out of 10. But it also was probably extra magical because of the snow. Not that I would not have loved it otherwise. I'm sure it's beautiful otherwise. It is. I've been here as a kid. But the snow was extra magical. I loved it.
Continue on Foothills Parkway for 4 miles.
Good morning, Vietnam, or Colorado. I'm leaving today, heading to Texas. I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna make it all the way to Waxahachie. That's 13 hours of driving. Like at some point I'm just gonna lose my mind because I'm by myself. A lot of car concerts, a lot of switching back and forth from podcast to music to audiobook to, it's a lot. but I'm on the road. I'm on the road, I'm tired. It's 8:24, so I should roll in about 9 or 10 to the farm. Yeah, okay, happy morning. Okay, so I've been in the car for like 8 hours today, and I thought it would be, I don't know if fun's the right word. I thought it would be great to get out and stretch my legs at the Cadillac Ranch, which is this little place outside of, or before you get to Amarillo actually, where they've got these like half buried cars in the ground, and then they're all spray painted. The problem is that you've got to walk like, you gotta walk all the way out to get to them. And it's 50 degrees and I'm in shorts because that was the only thing I had clean. So I'm gonna freeze. And now the idea seems not as fun. But I still should go, and I still should do it, and I should stretch my legs a little bit, that's for sure, because I've been in the car for 8 hours. But it's so cold. I mean, not as cold as it was yesterday with snow, but I had on a lot more layers. I just don't have anything else clean to put on. There's a lot of people here. Okay, stretch my legs. Suck it up, Sally. Suck it up. So they're like totally covered in, or drowning in water. So you can't actually walk up to them, really. And I'm white.
The Cadillac Ranch was invented and built by a group of art hippies from San Francisco. They wanted a piece of public art that would baffle the locals, and the hippies came up with a tribute to the evolution of the Cadillac tail fin. The 10 caddies are buried supposedly at the same angle as the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Okay, so now I'm gonna figure out how to get a picture. Because I'm here, I got this set up, why the heck not? So now I gotta figure out how to get a picture without getting muddy. Really doesn't seem possible.
I woke up in Waxahachie, Texas. My family has had this farm for almost my whole life, and it's one of my favorite places. I made it back to Houston and enjoyed a few more days with family and friends before getting COVID tested to head down to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Thank you. Sam, can you say go Cougs? Go Cougs.
Yeah, there's two of
Gideon,
them.
what did you say he was?
Gideon, what is he?
He's a dinosaur. Okay,
Oh,
sorry, I know.
It's okay.
I'm gonna twist on the way out. You're gonna have to cough or sneeze or both.
Oh,
It's not bad, right?
it's not that bad. It's just.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more at ashtononadventure.com or hit subscribe up at the top and follow along on the next adventure.